Welcome to the Fullcaster Podcast, episode 32. Today's guest is the Auto Club Speedway president, Dave Allen. Pretty stoked to have him on board. I honestly don't know a bunch about his background as far as the racing stuff is concerned, other than I know he's a huge racing fan. We're actually recording this just prior to the Memorial Day weekend. Was this the 22nd or something like that?
24th?
Is it the 24th already?
I think so.
Yeah. We're going to start looking at dates before we start saying this 24th. But we were just talking before we hit the go button here, a lot of racing going on from the weekend and just kind of the fandom. Just the fact that we're all racing fans, whether that be, our Super Series that just happened this last weekend, and some fantastic racing going on there for the win. Reminiscent about old, classical GPs and different things we've done on the Arrive and Drive stuff, our own racing, and the fact that not only do we like to race, but we like to watch racing in general.
Yeah.
And that kind of got us talking about the amount of racing that happened over the weekend. We were recording this, May 24th.
Correct.
And we've done 3. This will be our 3rd podcast we've recorded since the last time you and I got behind the wheel.
Yeah.
So, and we still...
There hasn't been much racing going on for us right now.
Right, yeah. So we don't have much to talk about in that regard. But yeah, on the fan side of things, there's a ton of stuff going on right now. We had the Coda race, the Circuit of the Americas with the NASCAR guys.
Yeah.
Indy qualifying. Yeah, it was a little wet. Yeah, indeed. The Indy qualifying going on. Never mind a bunch of other crap all over the place. The Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But on the NASCAR side of things, yeah, like you said, a little wet. It was less than ideal conditions.
So going back to, because we were just talking about this before we started recording, but the first thing I saw about the race was Kevin Harvick saying,
right.
It was just a quote saying, "That's the most dangerous thing I've ever done." And in my head, I'm like, all right, man. Like you said, you do Talladega and Daytona, 200 plus with, 30 cars or whatever.
Right.
And the first thing I thought of, the other thing I thought of was, I'm like, all right, is it dangerous because you don't do a lot of rain racing and road racing and you're just not used to it? Compared to, an F1 guy or a sports car guy. And then I saw the footage. I'm like, that looked like a shit show.
Yeah. Well, and we were also talking about there's 2 things that are probably the scariest when you're behind the wheel. You can't see and you can't stop.
Yeah.
And
that is it in a nutshell.
Yeah. Those are the 2 different things, and they can happen, exclusively or together. And, the clip of Kurt Busch, splitting those guys. And, you can't see because of the spray, and then you hydroplane. And the fact that actually reminds me of Jarrett King at Machismo, where he did the same. He went too hot, didn't slow down in time to split those guys. But yeah, I mean, I don't care what you're driving or what you're doing, like you said, but maybe you don't have a lot of experience or whatever in the wet. It don't matter if you can't see.
Yeah.
And was it Cole Custer's like, I can see like a foot in front of me?
Right.
Like I've been in some rain races where I've had to start pretty far back. We don't kick up that kind of spray, but when it's real bad, it's still pretty tough to see between the rain on the visor and the spray. But I mean, good golly, that looked like you said, kind of a shit show.
Yeah. No, it's too bad because I think it was, figures, right? The first time they go to Coda, it's not going to be a good weekend for them,
I heard the Xfinity race was good though.
And the truck race actually looked pretty cool.
Was it pretty good? Yeah. So, I mean, obviously the track is built for F1 cars.
Yeah.
So, big downforce, big cornering speed, stuff like that. Road racing and NASCAR, I think, is a great combination. But the wet stuff, like I wasn't a fan of the Charlotte deal. Yeah. Because of the wet. But you knock out the wet thing, and it's still pretty damn cool. But you got to be able to see.
I mean, yeah, they got to be able to see. But I think just like anything, too, the more they drive on the road course in the wet, the better they're all going to get at it.
Sure.
So
yeah,
it's going to come down.
If they can see.
Yeah, fair. But even for the pros, it's going to come down to a little bit of seat time. And hopefully it sounds like between the drivers and the organizer, they all kind of learned on how to handle this.
Oh, hopefully. There has to be a threshold. F1's got that, right? There is a point where, they start out under usually a standing start, but they start out under the pace car on a wet track. So, they'll leave and then kind of get going, and you can see how much spray is kind of... I didn't see the start, so I don't know if they just said, piss on it, we're going to go, or what. But like you said, learning experience for those guys. And then we were also talking about luck and some of the things that'll happen, because obviously in the wet, there's a bit of luck that goes on because, if you got too much water or whatnot. And then we're talking about Bottas at Monaco having the god dang wheel nut fail on him.
Yeah.
And to have your entire race killed by a wheel nut like that, it's just that's tough.
It's crazy. That thing still could have happened to an F1 to a high class F1 team. That still baffles me. That
mechanical failure or some kind of like that in a pit stop, and that actually reminds me of David Vasquez. He's racing, I think it's Cup Karts North America over in Indy, and if I remember correctly, the story goes he had a DNF. He's up front, like he has a shot to win, and he has a DNF because the bolt that holds the steering wheel to the steering shaft breaks.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's scary.
And how much is that? That's not an expensive part. But something like that, just dumb luck that, and even if you swap those things out, that was tough. But between the amount
Get a better F1 team, what can I say?
Botas, what are you doing? So I mean, between the the rain racing stuff going on,
and then we just had Indy 500 qualifying.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so that was pretty cool.
Those guys are moving these days too,
dude. Over 230.
Good golly.
And like I saw Dixon's qualifying run, who ended up getting pole, and I think he does you do 3 or 4 laps at a time, or whatever.
It's 4. It's always been.
Is it 4? Okay, gotcha. Well, never raced Indy. I couldn't tell you. But
attention to detail.
There was only 2 times he got below 230 or something like that. I'm like, Jesus Christ,
that's moving.
And I think his outlap was one of his fastest, which was insane. But high speed, and then Colton Hurd, I think, grabbed second, so that's pretty neat. Seeing the young gun up
Machismo driver.
Yeah.
Machismo driver out, making things happen in Indy. Tons of racing going on right now. And like we said, we haven't been behind the wheel, but we've been staying on top of things, and we're fans of the sport, whether that be karting or otherwise. And somebody who's a fan of the sport and is around the sport of NASCAR all the time as the president here, well, we're going to talk to him. Dave Allen, let's bring you on over. Dave Allen, thanks for coming over, taking the time to walk, drive, whatever you did from the...
I should have walked. Get my steps in.
There you go.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. It's cool.
Thanks for kicking over and being a part of the show. Like I said in the opening deal of the current events, I don't know too much about your background. I mean, I've gotten a chance to share the track with you a few times with some corporate events and things like that, some different things, charity, what have you. And we were able to host you as our guest driver with the CSK Racing team during the 20th anniversary. That was fun too.
That was fun until the first couple corners, I think, and then I caused some damage.
I think that might have been the main.
Maybe it was the main.
We didn't finish the main. We got through a couple heat races. But before we get into all that kinds of stuff, I mean, I said, you're the president of Auto Club Speedway here, and I guess, what do you do on a day-to-day as the president?
Just hang out, and just walk around the facility. Nice. End up in here with you guys, but no, it changes a lot. It's day to day, it's different. So I've been here 22 years.
Oh wow!
I started in 1999.
And how long have you been the president now?
Since 14.
Oh wow!
Okay. 14. So
time has flown.
Time has flown.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of change. We're getting older. You guys are getting older. Looking at you guys, man.
You remember when we were just a wee little 30-year-old,
right?
Little kids running around,
peach fuzz on your face. Now it's all grown in.
Yeah, and then some.
Yeah. Mine's turning real gray though, so I don't see any gray of you guys yet. So
distinguished,
but it's still all there though.
Yes,
it's great, but it's all there.
Yeah, I got the helmet hair going here.
Nice,
but no, it's I feel extremely lucky to be in the position I am. I have 3 daughters, and this isn't uncommon, but you tell your kids, find something you love to do, and it makes work a hell of a lot easier.
Right.
And growing up around racing and being exposed to it as a young kid, I just fell in love with it. And my last name wasn't Andretti, and my dad didn't have deep pockets, so I figured I better go to school. So, working in the industry as long as I have, and being fortunate enough to be tasked with running a world-class facility like this, it's been kind of a dream come true. So, it's fun. It's fun every day. I mean, does it have its hard times and challenges? Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, every job does. But I come to a racetrack every day,
Right.
so it's like I'm stoked.
It can't be that bad. Yeah. You said you've been a part of the Auto Club Speedway for 22 years now, since you said
99.
99. You didn't start out as the president. What did you
No.
do back in 99? And how'd you get the gig in the first place?
Well, it's kind of a long story. When I went to Colorado State and majored in speech communication, believe it or not, just because I didn't know what I wanted to do really. But I ended up working at Laguna Seca, which is where I raced karts as a kid back in the early 80s, mid 80s. That's where I started. Well, it's not where I started. I started at home on a dirt track. But I when I got through school, I worked for Anheuser-Busch through college. And fortunately, I worked for the guy that ran all the sports marketing for AB out of St. Louis was named Mike Hargrave. And he connected me with Scott Atherton at the time, who was the president at Laguna Seca.
Right. And moved on to do ALMS, I believe, right?
Correct. Long time president at ALMS and sports car world, and former president here as well.
Oh, I did not know
Yes.
that. Oh.
So I got in touch with Scott, had a great conversation with him from Fort Collins as I was graduating. And I had graduated, and we had a good conversation. He said, hey, next time you're in town, because I grew up in Santa Cruz, Aptos area, come see me, and we don't have an internship program or anything like that, but come see me and we'll chat. So I got in the truck.
You're like, I'll be there Sunday.
I left. Literally, I was on his doorstep the next day.
Get out.
And he walked in, and the young lady behind the desk there said, there's Mr. Allen here to see you. And he's like, weren't you in Colorado yesterday? I said, yeah. You said to come see you. So
wow.
Being aggressive like that opened the door, and they created an internship position for me.
Wow.
That was in 96. So I worked there for a little over a year and did all kinds of stuff, public relations, promotions, you name it, sponsorship stuff, emptied the trash, did whatever I needed to do. And fortunately, I was able to meet Roger Penske.
Wow.
So this is a cool story. I was staying in the infield of the racetrack in an RV, and
all the time.
No, just for the race weekend. I tried to all the time. There were gas pumps there, everything. It was just all I needed was gas, a car, and a place to.
Sucks.
Yeah, exactly. But being the green guy there, and new and stuff, the maintenance team was messing with me and duct taped me in the RV, and I had a hell of a time getting out, and basically had to kick the door through to get out of the RV one morning. But got through that day. The racing had concluded, and I was walking back up to the admin building. And you guys have been to Laguna, the crossover bridge there at the start-finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm walking, and I could see a gentleman quite a ways ahead of me, and I was catching him, and I didn't know who it was. We're on, just on foot. And as I got closer, I realized it was Roger. And I thought, man, what do I say? Here I am. I'm how old am I? 20-something years old, early 20s. And so I'm like, I got to say something, and he's by himself. This is late in the day, and he's walking back to his car. And so come up from behind him and say, hello, hey, how you doing, Mr. Penske? My name's Dave. And we had a great chat all the way back to the car, and I asked him, what do you look for in your employees? What do I need to do? And he gave me some really good advice. He just, at the time, he just said, I look for young and energetic, enthusiastic people that want to work hard, that, have a good head on their shoulders. And he didn't say, you didn't need to be a race fan or anything like that, but just someone that was willing to work hard. So skip ahead to the next day. I'm going to make the story a little shorter. I get a call from Scott Atherton. He's the president at the time at Laguna. And he says, hey, I want you to meet me in Victory Lane when this race is over. I want to talk to you about something. I said, okay, cool. So I go to Victory Lane and afterwards, and he says, I understand you had a conversation with Roger Penske. And I went, oh shit. What do I say?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm going back in my head. I'm like, oh, what did I say? What did I do? What did I say wrong? And he says, I don't know what you said, but whatever you said, it stuck with him, because he said something to me. And he said, hey, I had a conversation with Dave, keep an eye on him. And
wow.
So fast forward, I went and worked for a sprint car team for a year for a friend of mine after I left Laguna. And we'll come back to that if you want. But I got a call from Scott and said, "Hey, we're looking for a marketing manager down here at California." And Scott had moved on and became president here, working under Penske.
Do you leave Laguna at the same time he leaves Laguna as well? Or
no,
roughly?
a little after that. He left Laguna. Actually, no, I take that back. I'm getting my time frame messed up. He was here already, and then I left and kind of did my thing, with the sprint car stuff. Went and had fun, traveled quite a bit. And then I got a call that there was a marketing manager position open, basically selling program ads and suites and some sponsorship stuff.
So Scott goes from Laguna
to here,
and a spot opens up, and he goes, "I know a guy."
Yeah, pretty
Wow,
much.
That's cool.
So he's like, "What are you doing?" And came down and interviewed, and that was where I started. I started selling, program ads and display space and stuff here. So
And still owned by Penske at the time, I believe, wasn't it?
I was hired by Penske, and it was cool. Got to interview with Greg at the time, and Scott and Craig Rust, who actually runs Mid Ohio now.
Oh wow,
cool.
So yeah, it's been a good road, but interesting story. I think when I go talk to younger people and go to the schools and stuff, I always tell them like, hey, don't be afraid to talk to somebody, especially if it's a high profile person like that. You never know what might come from it.
So your entire working career after college has been basically inside the racing industry in some way, shape, or form.
Yes.
Wow, that is pretty cool. You were talking about that on the crossover bridge and seeing Roger, and actually that reminds me of when I was a kid. They had the G.I. Joe's 200 at Portland International. I'm from Oregon, right? So we would always go to this race. And this particular weekend, they were running with the Northwest Tour. And my dad was crewing for Mac McGarry, who was one of the drivers there. And so my brother, I must have been, I don't know, like 14 or something. I think he was 12. And we were going over, this is early in the morning, we're going over the little bridge they had just after the final corner on the straightaway. And coming the other way was Mario Andretti.
Oh, neat.
And I feel like I was 12 and he was 10, but whatever. I was young. And I'm going over there, and I'm just looking at him. I can recognize who he is.
Yeah.
And unlike Dave Allen, I did not say a damn thing. But we get just past him, and I look over at my brother. I'm like, "Do you know who that was?
Yeah,
that was Mario Andretti." Just totally geeking out over it. Probably should have said something. Probably would have been a full-time racer at this point if I just talked to Mario Andretti.
My dad just calls me last night, and he's talking to me about Indy and qualifying. The whole race weekend, and I forgot how he gets brought up, but Mario Andretti, when he had the Kmart car, was at a Kmart doing autograph signings.
That's when he was with Newman Haas.
Yeah.
I don't know what Kmart was at. My parents got there, and there's a picture of him holding me as a baby. Yeah. At this Kmart, and my dad goes, "Does everyone know that you're baptized by the Pope, Mario Andretti?" Like he threw some stuff on you, and you got baptized.
He
but
should have thrown more.
He should have just
you.
thrown the baby away. But I just thought that was so funny. You just mentioned Mario Andretti. That story came up last night.
Oh man, that's crazy.
That's cool. Mike? Have you since met Mario?
No, I have not. No, I have not. I actually I haven't been since actually working in the racing industry, whether it be indoor or outdoor or what have you. I have not been around a bunch of actual races, car races anymore. So I haven't really had a lot of opportunity to rub a lot out. That's not entirely true because I was able to meet Jeff Gordon with some different things, and he was a childhood hero of mine, and got a chance to race with him and stuff like that at a couple of charity events. But other than like some of those kinds of things, I haven't really gotten a chance to meet a lot of drivers, unless they come here. And the last quote legend that I can think of was actually, we did you guys were doing a quick, I don't know what the hell it was, charity thing or whatever, and Bill Elliott and Chase Elliott were here, and they came out and ran karts. God, I can't remember when that was, but
it was years ago,
right when Chase was getting into
the
Cup Series, I think.
That was fun.
That was a good time
because I was able to go out there with them, and that was
coach Chase up a little bit.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
right.
really, actually, Chase really started to hit his peak right after the time that Dave
The
Allen
road course
showed
stuff
track.
clicked
Pretty-
after he came here at
Pretty much.
CalSpeed. Yeah.
I think he was driving one-handed because he was bored. But those are the types of things where you kind of pinch yourself as a fan, you know,
Right.
and it's like I'm going down your straightaway over there at the on the backstretch over there, and I'm just laughing inside my helmet because I'm like, there's Bill Elliott in front of me and Chase Elliott behind me. You know,
Yeah.
it was kind of neat. But
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
You had talked about when you were first getting started doing karts at Laguna, going back to little
Yeah.
Dave, but then you said actually no, it started at dirt at your backyard?
Your backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how old were you, and how did you get into racing? Your family racing?
Yeah,
you know?
my dad.
Yeah.
My dad, so like most of us, we were exposed to the sport through a family member, aunt or uncle or whatever. And my dad, I supposedly I went to my first race when I was 2 months old.
Oh, wow.
Went to Watsonville Speedway, which is a dirt track in Watsonville, Santa Cruz County area. My dad raced stock cars, mostly dirt stuff. Did some super modified stuff, sportsman, things like that. Back with Ernie Irvin's dad, Vic Irvin.
Oh, okay.
He was running back in the day too. at that
Are
time.
the Irvins from this coast?
Up there?
Are
Yeah,
they? Okay, I had
West
no
Coast,
idea.
Yeah, Northern California.
So your dad ran with Ernie's dad?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. So we had plenty of apple orchards, and our neighbors owned a tractor business, and so the fence came down between the two properties, and we had a fairly high banked dirt oval, full blown. I was spoiled. And to this day, I feel bad for my daughters because in today's age down here, you can't let your kids play out by themselves, out in the front yard. But
You don't have a dirt oval in your backyard
no,
right now?
I mean,
He's like, the apple orchards are in place. He's
Yeah.
like, it's season.
Yeah, exactly. It's in season. But we had a blast, man. The first kart I had, my dad, it was a kind of a custom built deal that he built. It had an old West Bend motor on it, if memory serves correct. But we had
is a West Bend motor?
I think it was an old chainsaw motor.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, maybe some of your listeners will remember what that is and can ping you and tell you exactly. But yeah, he put Nerf bars on it and stuff, and had a little like centrifugal clutch and
Were you guys tearing it up on this oval car like I've seen Dale Jr.?
Yes.
You got that oval thing? You
Yes.
guys same thing?
that was
Kinda?
the same thing.
Wow.
We had our neighbors ended up having carts. At one time, I think my dad had 8 carts. I think we had Margays and Bugs. I had a really cool Bug. I wish I had it that had an old Mac 92 on it. But we'd get people we'd have heat races, and we'd water the track
awesome.
down. And my dad wasn't real good in taking pictures and video. So, back then there wasn't a whole lot of the little camcorders really didn't exist.
yeah.
Yeah. How old were you? What years is this roughly?
This is probably like late. Let's see, I was born in 73. So probably like
Late-
80?
Yeah, right
Yeah.
around 80.
early 80s. Yeah. Because then I started racing at Laguna in an old Invader. I think it was an Invader Dark Star 1 or Dark Star 2.
Yeah.
100cc class there at Laguna, like in 84, 85.
So you did the dirt thing for a good few years.
Yeah.
And your dad was still racing dirt at the same time in the car?
A little bit. His last stock car actually was a Grand National car he bought from I think it was Bobby Allison.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it still said
Okay.
Bobby Allison on it. He should have just kept the car and had it,
Are you
had it
kidding
say
me?
Bobby Allison instead of cutting it up
Yeah.
and making it a dirt car. Hindsight's 2020, but yeah, it was an old Ford Granada. And I don't know if Bobby owned it or not, but I've talked to him a couple times since then, Bobby, about it, and it's always fun to reminisce a little bit. He's a cool old guy, but the dirt stuff, I can still remember the first time we hauled over to an old racer friend of my dad's, Yutters. That's Ron Yutters was his name. Is his name. I think he's still around. But they had a dirt track at their house, and then we unloaded the cart, and I hadn't been in it before, and I was scared.
This is the first time you were
It was
in
the
a car.
first time. Yeah, it was the first time they'd put me in a cart, and I was scared. I was a kid, and it took me a little bit, and then Ron and his son got out there in their carts and stuff, and but once I got out there, everything just, as you know, it just went away.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And started picking it up pretty good and just had a blast. So it just kind of went from there.
So
I wish I would have kept racing, karts longer than I did, but
well, you're at Ron's house, and that's when you first get into it, and then you guys make your own track
Correct.
after that with your neighbor.
Yeah, because before it was a racetrack, it was a wiffle ball field.
Oh, wow.
Wiffle ball
It was a
field.
full blown wiffle ball field.
Your Ron's place.
No. So we go run at Ron's place.
Yeah.
And we realized, okay, we need to build a racetrack over at our place now.
You can't be going over to Ron's all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to convert what was there at our house and our neighbor's house, which was a wiffle ball field. We had a full-blown wiffle ball field.
Oh, wow.
And so, we took down the wiffle ball field, and Andy took the tractor out and cut in a track. And I mean, it was legit.
How much time did you spend out there once that track was made?
A lot. We weren't supposed to be out there, without supervision, but every once in a while, quite often.
Yeah.
Single dad. So, but no, we got out there a lot, and even with the motorcycles, we'd flat track the motorcycles out there too.
Oh, wow.
Neat.
So it was a lot of fun. It was like those are some of the funnest times of childhood, definitely.
Yeah, I would imagine you get done with school or whatever, and like.
You're running home.
Dude,
yeah.
you kidding me?
Let's
go freaking go racing in the backyard. You get a few more neighbors going, you have your own circuit going on.
Totally.
A little championship.
Yeah. Yeah. Problem is when you get in trouble at school, there's plenty of things you could be taken away from you that hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just looking at the track and
exactly.
you can't use it. Oh
Exactly.
man. So you're doing the dirt thing. Your dad was dirt racer, and then you go, I assume, because I didn't even know there was a club at Laguna at one time. So I assume that's pavement. Right?
Yeah.
And that's not oval, right? That's
Road
circuit.
course.
So how did that transition happen?
I'm trying to remember how the connection. I don't remember how the actual connection took place. I think Dad met somebody that was racing at Laguna, and it was Carter's in Monterey. I don't even know if they exist anymore.
They actually moved. So there was a Monterey track at the airport.
Yep.
That they had moved to. That just shut down last year, I believe. Monterey, the airport track, and I think it had to do with some COVID stuff and things like that at the time. But yeah, the Monterey club that I know of sounds like it started at Laguna.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They set up a course in the paddock area, and it was road course, left and right. So it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I remember the first time doing that too. I remember having to go to the bathroom so bad. I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna go. And I was wearing like these pleathers at the time. They weren't full blown leathers, but they were like, cross between the two. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I gotta go to the bathroom, man. He's like, hold it, and of course once the cart pushed off, and then it went away and I didn't have to go to the bathroom anymore. But it was a ton of fun. We won some races, and I didn't have my head completely screwed on as it relates to championship stuff. And we missed some races because I wanted to be at a barbecue where all my neighbors were riding motorcycles and stuff. So we missed a couple races and lost a championship one year. But
how old were you when you were doing that?
I was, like I say, 84, 85. So I was 12.
12?
Yeah.
And you only do it for a year or two?
No, we raced for a few years. Yeah. We raced for a few years, and then I got into motorcycles more, and I thought, I want to buy
motocross and stuff? Or?
I didn't race. We had apple orchards and stuff around, so we had plenty of space to move around and ride. And my dad wasn't, he's never been one that's like, yeah, this is what you're gonna do it, and in hindsight, I kind of wish he would have, but when I said, hey, I want to get a motorcycle, he's like, all right, you sure, and you're gonna sell the carts and stuff. I said, yeah. I want to go ride and do some different things. And I played baseball and basketball and was doing other sports. So, but in hindsight, I wish he would have, just said, hey,
let's stick to this.
Let's keep racing. Cause, it would have been fun to keep going.
Was it just the two of you running your own program for the karting?
Yeah. Just him and I and my sister, really. I mean, my little sister's 5 years younger than me. So she was pretty young.
Yeah.
But, I have a picture in my office. I think I sent it to you of my dad, my sister, and I, and really, I think one of the first races that we had entered. But yeah, it's just the three of us. So
Nice.
it was cool. And then it ended up my uncle started racing too, and so he got a kart, and my dad's old race partner got some karts as well, and he did some races. So it was good times. I mean, I think that's the coolest thing about karting is even today, it doesn't matter, if you're young or old or middle aged or everybody can do it and have fun at it, and you don't have to take it super serious. You got ones that obviously do, but you can go out there and just have fun. I think that's what's so great about it.
Now you did those you did those early races and whatnot, and you said you didn't really do the championship stuff so much. Weren't paying attention to the points. Had a few wins and whatnot. What class were you in? You said 100cc. Was it Yamaha stuff?
Yeah, they were junior 1, junior 2. I think when I first started, they were 100cc karts with a restrictor plate in them.
Mm-hmm.
Then the restrictor plate came out. So they were just the 100cc class. Played with pipes and pipe extenders and all the stuff.
Right.
I don't know if they still, if you guys still mess with those, but
it's a lot more spec these days.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's there were some guys that were just flat out fast, and you always wonder like, where are they getting their speed from, and what are they doing to their motors, and we'd have to go through weight. There was a teardown every once in a while, but other than that, I think there was some creative motor work going on as usual. Go figure, right?
Yeah. Weird racing.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So you end up you do the dirt thing as a munchkin, then you move over and do the circuit stuff, but then you really start losing your marbles and decide you don't want to do racing anymore, and you want to go F around in the orchards with a dirt bike. Terrible life decision.
That was that, and I started going to help a friend of mine, a guy that my dad used to race with, his son Kevin Pilot. He raced stock cars for a long time, and then went to sprint cars. I started going to help him as well when I was in high school.
Okay,
like my freshman and sophomore year of high school, and it was just a lot of fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun in those days. I mean, my dad literally would say, "Hey, if you get arrested, don't call me," because we had it got fun, and to this day, some of my best friends, are from the sprint car world in Northern California. But I still enjoy, seeing sprint car racing. I think that's some of the rawest, coolest, wildest racing you can see anywhere. But I am in between sports, between traveling with that, I played baseball, pretty hard in high school. And I made some bad decisions too then, and did end up pursuing baseball, which in hindsight I probably should have, but it's normal. Like we're all
college.
We're all shaking our head, going, "Yeah, I should have turned right instead of turning left."
Right.
That type of thing.
You can't. I mean, at the end of the day, though, you can't really regret a whole heck of a lot, considering where you end up down the lane, right? And so it's all hindsight. I can think about things when I was a kid. Like my dad pulled me out of karts when I was 12. My parents pulled me out because my grades weren't there.
Yeah,
they said they were gonna, but.
We got to test it.
You called their bluff.
Yeah, stupid me. I wish I hadn't done that, but hey, it is what it is. It worked out okay, I suppose.
We're doing this. Yeah, it all worked out.
With the podcast.
Look at this.
How better? Yeah, can't get any better than this.
Full caster.
Yeah. So you don't do the karting deal. You end up going to college. It kind of sounds like though that the racing bug never left you. Like all the way through college, you're still racing fan, watching racing and stuff like that the entire time as well.
Yeah, the entire time. If it wasn't for one of my professors in college, still friends with her today, she really helped keep me in school because I was ready to, pack up and go back and start traveling again with the sprint car guys. And but yeah, I mean, it just school was something that I felt like I needed to finish. And, I started at a junior college in Santa Cruz there and was still doing the racing stuff. But, I always thought, if there was a way to make my career somehow connected to motorsports, it would be pretty cool. So that was one great thing about working for Anheuser-Busch. I knew that there was a lot of sports management stuff, branched out from that. I actually worked for one of the breweries there in Fort Collins. So that was cool because I never really had to pay for beer when I was in college. I always had beer.
Nice. Perfect. But had a lot of friends too, I'm sure.
Exactly. So school was awesome. I mean, and Colorado was great. And actually, I think I saw Colorado National Speedway in 1994. 5, I think it was Colorado National Speedway, for the truck race. NASCAR Craftsman Truck Race was there,
really?
which is like right. I want to say that's when
right
the truck
when they
series
started getting going. Yeah. They had the old Portland Speedway that I grew up around, the half mile that was in Portland. There was the PIR, which is where the IndyCar and Champ Car, what have you, ran. But then there was a little quarter mile and then half mile oval, and the truck series went there when they first started as well. That was back when they had the break in the middle, and then like there was no pit stops except for in the middle. You could do things to the car when the truck series first started. They ran there. I know they went Mesa Marin, Pikes Peak, some of those different tracks, and it was almost all short track stuff because it started down in Phoenix, I think, like the hell they call that,
like the debut of it, or
no, the winter heat. That's
Tucson?
Yeah.
Is it Tucson or?
It might have been Tucson, but it was actually at the Phoenix International as well, because they had the Copper Classic and then they had the winter heat going on. That was pretty damn cool seeing the trucks back then, because they were still like trucks. That was back when NASCAR was badass.
Yeah,
you were
the cars still looked like cars. Yeah,
you could make a NASCAR in your garage. Yeah, I mean, Quickie did it basically just a few years prior to that, essentially.
You mentioned the Copper Classic too. Copper Classic was cool because you got to see
Silver Crown,
Silver Crown cars, you know, and offset super modifieds, which were rocket ships.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
You said when going back to, you were talking about before or after you had left Laguna, you did the sprint car stuff, and then now we know you did a bunch of that stuff when you were younger. Did you get a chance to drive any, or did you have an itch to drive any aside from just crewing?
I did. I mean, I mud packed a couple times, and
the first laps that they did.
Yeah. And at Calistoga, I did it. Kevin put me in the car at Calistoga one night, and that was fun. Have you been to Calistoga?
No.
It's one of my favorite dirt tracks.
You just went up there not too long ago, a couple of years ago, I think. I thought I saw on the social media you went up there to watch a race or something.
Yeah, we were up there because they would have a race in years past the same weekend as the Cup race. So
that's right.
But yeah, just kind of set, Napa Valley there, and it's a half mile dirt track. So, but yeah, a little bit. I've been fortunate enough to do some of the school stuff, Wally Pancratz and his stuff. I go out and run the midget every once in a while, and I have a lot of fun doing that. But, as I said, I mean, I probably would run out of talent pretty quick. But I was mostly just turning wrenches with the sprint car stuff.
Yeah.
And, just having fun and helping a buddy out and, doing our thing, trying to stay out of trouble.
The thought was never try to go drive then, huh? Or
no.
It seemed like you're trying to stay in the sport and be on the business side of it.
Yeah. I mean, it, and I think that's where why I mentioned the kid stuff and being, if I'd have been forced to keep focused on something, then I think, maybe it would have been a little bit different as far as my focus goes. Whether or not it would have worked or not, I have no idea. And obviously then too, I mean, things have changed so much now. I mean, I come out here and see what you guys do with the schools and training and stuff, and the kids are just so young and so fast, and they're starting so early. Yeah. Compared to what was happening back when I was running karts and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it with other people on the show. Like, a young person was 12.
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, when I started, I was one of the youngest kids at 12 at Pat's Acres. But yeah, out here you can start 5.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids, you got like Keelan Harvick and some of these other kids that are out there from the NASCAR guys. Like, when they started, they couldn't have really been that young, and now they can start at 4 years old or create their own deal in the backyard.
Talking to one of our previous guests, Race LeBronte, I guess for like a full size car, 12 is the new minimum now, and I'm like, Jesus, that's just insane.
Yeah,
so.
And having it the point of reference with my youngest daughter is 10, and you look at, and my middle daughter is 15. So then I'm watching TV and I'm seeing F2 or whatever, and it's like the kids, like I can't imagine throwing out my 10 or 12 or 15-year-old out there right now. She's not ready.
Right.
But, when they've been exposed to it at such an early age and they started racing when they were 5, I mean, you think about it, they've got a ton of experience already.
Well, that's it. At 15, they got 10 years experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
So gas it up.
It's crazy. You never really went down the path of trying to become a race car driver and like that. And in fact, quite the opposite, where it was more on the business end of things and like being in the industry somehow, shape or form. When you ended up getting out of school and then having the opportunity to work at the racetrack, was that the thought basically, I just want to be involved in it somehow, or was there a goal or some place you wanted to get in the industry?
I'd love to say yes, but honestly, there wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it was, and I had been offered a couple jobs. It was, you're on the job hunt when you get out of college, and there was one job. I think it was installing new computer systems at car dealerships that track, parts and service and stuff like that.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah, it sounded really exciting. I remember they offered me the position, and it was actually decent money. It was a lot of travel. And I just, I told my dad at the time, I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't, So the paid internship at Laguna was a paid internship. Wasn't paid a lot, but it was enough to, make sense and to commute from my dad's place to Laguna. So I had a free place to live, which was helpful. But yeah, I once I got exposed to it and I realized, I'd never run, been exposed to the business side of a racetrack. So that was the first for me. I'd always been going and, as a fan or as a competitor or, crew person, whatever. But I never really thought about like the business side of the racetrack. So the exposure that I got and experience I got through Laguna was huge in setting the tone for, I'm like, hey, I like this and, I think I could be good at it. So,
and then you end up going back to the sprint car deal and doing that for a little bit. Why did you leave Laguna and do that instead of trying to go, to another, track deal? Did the internship just stop? Or?
No, it didn't really stop, but there wasn't right at that time a direct hole for me to fit into there. So, and again, I don't think even though I was having fun doing it, there's this race stuff over here. And I think, we talked a little bit offline. I said, sometimes racing is a sickness. It's cool because I'll go to a race, with the King of the West series now, which is the old, NARC, which is what we used to run around with. And you just see so many familiar faces, people that are still doing it, and they've found a way to stay local and help their buddy or whatever. And they have a day job, of course,
right.
But they've been able to keep doing it. So, I wanted to do that at the time, and Kevin needed help at the time. So we went and ran around, and I helped him win a couple races, but had fun doing it.
Nice.
You end up getting over here to Auto Club, and like you said, you're doing the marketing deal and whatnot. And that's 99, right? It's now been 22 years you've been with the company, and you've moved on up into the president role. How have things changed? I've only been here since 2011, and it's changed a lot since then. From your standpoint, how have things changed here at the track, and then also in your job and how you've moved on up?
Gosh, it's a broad question because I just have a rush of things that have changed in my whether it's personnel, the physical nature of the facility itself. In '99 we didn't have the skyboxes up above the main grandstands. It was just the tower, and Roger wanted to build the suites up there, and so. And at the time, we had sold the terrace suites along pit lane had all been sold on 3-year agreements. And then the skyboxes were built at the same time, right when those 3-year agreements came up. So it was quite a push to get all those things, sold. But we went through a couple seat expansions as well. You remember back at that time, we were selling seats like crazy. The numbers, at our high point, we sat 92,000 people.
And several different series came here too.
Yeah. We had obviously Cup events, and then we expanded to 2 Cup events along the way. IndyCar, of course. We sports car at one point. Grand Am ran on the Roval, if you will.
Neat.
So the motorcycles with
AMA,
Superbikes,
right?
AMA. But yeah, a lot of we've had trucks over the years. Winston West, back when it was Winston West before it is K&N today, or ARCA, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of change. You know, even the kart track. I mean, honestly, we were karting in these parking lots back in the day. We would take the inner liners of the tires that they would leave, and that's how we would mark out a track. There were a couple of us that had karts, and it was a guy down in maintenance, a couple guys down in maintenance, myself, and we would set up either in this parking lot or the parking lot over on the other side of the facility, looking for lots that didn't have a bunch of bumps, too many bumps on them, because as you know, you feel those pretty good.
yeah.
At speed. But yeah, that even that has changed. So sometimes change is good. Sometimes change is hard to take. When you take a race away, for instance, like
Right.
a cup race. But you got to find the good in it, and I think for us, this marketplace understands what the significance is of our NASCAR races and what it means to not only just the race fans that come to enjoy the races, but the surrounding business community as well. So, not a lot of markets have had a race added and then lost a race. So they understand what it's like to lose that race. So
Right.
that's one of the most common questions I get from fans. Are we ever going to get that cup race back? And I always say, never say never. I mean, you never know. And there's been a lot of change lately, and obviously they're looking at schedules and where they race and how they race, and evidence from COTA this past weekend. So
Right.
yeah,
exactly. One of the reasons why I wanted to ask you about the changes that have happened and whatnot is because I did know that you had something to do with the early karting days here as well, and those like you said, those little inner liners and whatnot. In fact, I think we had some when I first got here. They lined the inside of some of the curbs and stuff like that as well.
Neat. Okay.
So you guys just found, I shouldn't say found, but you basically just go, all right, we got nothing going on a Friday or whatever it is. We're gonna go tool around here and make things happen.
yeah.
Did you ever envision there being a full-time kart track here? And how were you a part of the whole deal with when
Decision-making,
Rob
yeah.
Niles comes over here with this idea about making it happen?
Yeah, I mean, we had the space to do it. So, what we were doing was just messing around, and this is, many years ago, so we were able to do it. Things have changed nowadays with,
Right.
with what we can and can't do. But yeah, I think getting it to a point where we could slurry coat something in, and that's kind of what we did in the very beginning, was just slurry coat something in. That was well before, you mentioned using them as curbs and stuff. That was before you would put rumble strips or
Right.
curbs or whatever you guys are using today. But I think there's always a demand for it. When you don't have a place to race, though, it can make it challenging. You have to go haul further away to go do it, and so on and so forth. So we've always felt and tried to do the best we can as a complex to be stewards of the sport and provide a place for other people to do things. So, but what you guys have done is beyond anything I would have ever thought of. I think what you guys have done in the program that you have here, and all the kids that have come up through the system, and we have a sponsor in King Taco that we've had mutual relationships with over the years, and to this day, Raul Martinez is one of my coolest friends. And I look back on his daughters. Now they're graduated out of college and they're helping run the business. And Rocky was out. She's running out here in a little cart and stuff.
Yeah.
And it just, again, another thing that ages us. But I'm sure you guys, when you go through the Rolodex of people. Some people might not even know what a Rolodex is, as I say that. But when
Derek
you go
doesn't
through
know
your
what it
contact list,
I was like, dice?
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about. Roll what?
age check, testing. Yeah, when you go and think about it, I mean, all the people that have come through your program and grown into either, racers, continue to be racers, or people that have just grown up to be good people. I think, people lose sight of the fact that racing can teach you a lot of things beyond just going fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And to think that CalSpeed is where it is right now. It's been around for over 15 plus years. And, it started with inner liners in this parking lot with some guys tilting around having fun and screwing around. It's pretty damn cool. You were talking about how you hadn't really thought about going racing and stuff like that. It was more, having a job in the industry. kind of going back to what I had mentioned at the very, very beginning of getting a chance to come out here and play a little bit in the sport karts with Chase and Bill and other celebrities or racers or drivers, but then actually getting a chance to come out here and do the 206.
Yeah.
Was the 206 the first time you had been back and doing a proper race since you were younger? Sorry, since the roundy round stuff?
I think it might have been. Yeah. I mean, as far as a competitive kart race, yeah, I think it was. And man, I was pissed in that main because I was fast. I think I would have won.
You definitely would have. I think you would have won in class.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back of the class.
Nah.
No, it was a kick in the pants. I mean, those karts were a lot of fun to drive, and one thing it reminded me is just like anything else. It's hard to just get in something and expect to be good at it. I don't care if it's racing or if it's baseball or or pickleball. I'm sore today because I went and played pickleball last night with some friends. But
what is pickleball?
Pickleball, just right turn here. Pickleball is you play on a tennis court. It's a smaller court. Mm-hmm. It's a smaller racket, kind of like a honeycomb type racket, and you play with a oversized wiffle ball.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's getting popular right now, I guess. But
and you have a lot of experience from the wiffle ball stuff.
Oh yeah, true.
As a kid.
True.
Yeah, the home field advantage.
Although,
they didn't know what hit him.
Yeah,
dude, I'm telling you, my body doesn't like it very much. But I got to keep in shape. But yeah, it's the karting stuff. I felt bad. I think what did I bend? I want to say I bent a
steering shaft and maybe a spindle or something like that. Yeah,
it wasn't my fault though. They were wrecking in front of me. It was rainy. I couldn't see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I actually think it was perfect conditions.
Never seen a. I haven't had a nicer day since then. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. So you end up you come out here and you hang out with us. You do that kart race. Yeah. Have you thought about, because it's accessible, right? I mean, have you thought about coming out and doing it on a more regular deal? You
guys offer all the time, and I appreciate that. And I honestly, I think about it, and you see me sneak out here. I mean, I'll use the facility, your facility, as a way to kind of sneak away and take a break from the office sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, I just enjoy coming out and watching people run around, do their thing, especially the kids. But yeah, I do, but time. I mean, I wish we could find more time in the day because time's precious these days, and between the time I spend with work here and the time that with the girls at home, and I've got 2 volleyball players currently, club volleyball players, so it's time's pretty precious, but. I think one thing that COVID has done is it's it did help slow us, obviously, in a lot of different ways, slow us down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
be a little more appreciative, maybe.
Yeah. I think so. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, I love just getting in your karts and just going out and I've spent quite a bit of time on the track with you two jokers.
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean, heck with Chase and Bill and stuff. You two. I mean, I'm find myself laughing in my helmet when I'm out there with you guys.
It's definitely a good time, and we got to get you out here on a more regular basis.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat when we'll be testing and it'll be us two and another driver on course, but we'll look out to the side and we'll see you parked there on the street just watching for 10 minutes or whatever. Just we're just doing our thing, but it's cool. I could tell you're just enjoying the time just watching, some racing.
Well, sometimes I pull up over there and I'm like, I hope there's no glare coming off the truck or, distracting you guys or nothing. But every once in a while I get a wave or a finger or something like that.
You're number one, buddy.
Number one.
You know where the helmets are. You just got to come on over here and jump in the seat with us. That's what you got to do.
I got plenty of helmets in the office. It just, I think they're all outdated.
Yeah.
Dot is outdated, right?
So we might not be seeing you get in the seat right away. It got me thinking because you're talking about the girls doing volleyball and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So that's obviously their sport. Have you got them behind the wheel? Have you thought about getting them in? Or are you guys a racing family as well? Or is this kind of Dave's deal?
The girls enjoy racing. I've taken them out to Paris numerous times. They've been to Wattsville. I've had them to different events. I got them, obviously drove them around the 2 mile track when they were all babies. That was kind of I just roll out there and say, hey, we were on the racetrack. But they enjoy it. It's fun to introduce the girls sometimes to people that they don't realize who they're talking about. I'll use Parnelli Jones as an example. I mean, they don't know who Parnelli is, but it's neat to see my kids, in the past interact with Parnelli, and kind of make that connection. But they enjoy watching it. You asked me to give you a couple pictures, and and it caused me to go through kind of the files, and I hadn't looked at them in a long time. I ran across a couple pictures of Rob Niles out here with Madison and Abby. So the two
cool.
older ones. And Maddie she looked like she was probably about 7 or 8,
Munchkin.
maybe small. Yeah. And he got in the cart. You don't see him in a cart very often.
No, you don't.
No.
But he was in a cart out there with them. So I probably need to get her back out, especially as she's starting to think about driving.
15.
Yeah.
Be a good idea to drive something else.
Yeah. Yeah. So I probably need to get her and the youngest one out at some point.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. And also
going.
maybe get you rolling again a little bit more too.
There you go.
And kind of circling back to what you had mentioned earlier about like the changes and kind of, trying to, the fact you had one race and then 2 races and then back to 1 and things like that. Obviously, there's on the horizon the changes to this place becoming a shorter track, a half-mile course.
Yeah.
It's kind of that, going back to you as a younger kid and whatnot, doing the dirt track stuff, doing the oval, like a little bit more grassroots, if you will. What would a half mile here be, that I would think that's going to bring like late model racing and all kinds of other like club level, if you will. Never mind NASCAR, obviously, but some of that stuff. I mean, for a race fan and for an oval guy from back in the day, could there be a dirt version of this one? That'd be full circle.
Never say never, right? Yeah. They've been playing with that. Bristol's a good example.
Yeah.
I mean, our proposed project, which is just that. It hasn't been approved. It's not green lighted.
Right.
There's a lot of rumor out there, obviously. But I think the cool thing about the sport today, in the leadership in Daytona is we do want to do what's best for the fan. And the fans have been asking for more road courses and more short tracks. I think you can check the box on the road courses. I mean, they've added a lot of road courses. So
there's plenty around to choose from.
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, there's short tracks out there. I mean, there's still a lot of chirp. You hear people talk about North Wilkesboro and some of the old short tracks that they had. And you're right. I mean, I think, when we look at what this place can be, and looking at a half mile configuration, you can race more things on it than you can
just
with what we are today with a 2 mile track. But it's if we go down that road, it's not meant to compete with Irwindale or Paris or anything like that. I mean, I want those tracks to flourish. I mean, anything we can do to help them flourish, that's what I'd like to see. But if for some reason, we need to be that, if we went down that road and we needed to be that, where there's a weekly or bi-weekly racing series or something like that, then we could. Yeah. So, there's a lot to be looked at. Obviously we have a big company, and the timing and so on and so forth, with the way COVID's gone and stuff. I mean, it's just, we're still in process of taking a good look at it and seeing if it makes any sense. And it's a dynamic marketplace, the marketplace, as you guys know, that we work in. I mean, on one hand, it's great because we got so many people to work with, but doing business here is not easy, and having a 560 acre facility, in the middle of San Bernardino County here is, we got to do things that set us up for long-term continued success for our core business, which is NASCAR racing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. The main thing that we got to do moving forward is figure out how to get you going racing again. Yeah. That's what we need to do. That's what everybody probably wants, is to see Dave Allen back in the seat on a regular basis. Super Series happens once a month, my friend. You need to get out here and start racing.
There's
Bring
someone,
the kids.
There's someone that you know very well, Derek.
Yeah.
That she seems to, Miss Heather seems to throw out down every once in a while a gauntlet that says, "Hey, I need another shot at you," because evidently last time we were on track together,
I think she's been working at it now for 3 years to try to beat you. So
Right.
maybe this is all the training she needed. Yeah.
The last time you guys were on track was about the first time she met Derek too, about the same
That
damn
corporate,
time.
yeah,
there
that's
you
right.
go. yeah. The racetrack love, right?
That's
There you
actually what
go.
she's been doing is this entire time. It's not about her getting better. We're talking about Heather Perrin, your girlfriend,
Yeah.
obviously,
Right.
Derek, and it's she's just been training to beat Dave.
Yeah,
It's not about
that's
sprint
what it is.
series. It's not
Somehow
about
I
super.
highly doubt that. Yes. Yeah. No.
The millions of dollars that have gone into R&D for her. Yeah.
Right.
All to beat
Millions
you.
of pennies.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. She enjoys it though. You can just tell when she talks about it. And
She's fresh
Yeah.
off one of her best weekends this last weekend at the Super
Yeah.
Series too.
Oh, yeah?
Just made the A main for the first time this
all
last
right.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Ask her how turn 1 went. But
Okay.
but
so
she
you want me
made
to
the
ask her
A-main.
about the challenging part, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't tell her you told me to ask
there
her.
you go.
This
I'll
won't
tell
come
her
out till
Mike.
late
I'll tell her
June.
Mike told me.
Yeah.
No, my man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, really quick too. You've gotten to see a lot of cool racing here at the Speedway between the infield stuff, Roval, Oval, all that. What was one event that sticks out in your mind as one of the most fun races to be at?
Wow.
Because man, even I remember as a kid even coming to IndyCar. I think that was pretty cool.
Ooh,
when I was
yeah.
a munchkin.
The last IndyCar race, not to
that's
cut you
the
off,
one.
the night race
Yeah.
was bitching.
That was in 2015.
Something like that.
I think it was our last one, but that from a pure race perspective,
Yeah,
for on track product, that was probably in my top 3 or 4 races that I've ever seen anywhere.
wow.
The lead changes that were taking place at 220 miles an hour, 230 miles an hour, was incredible. And it came down to the end there. I mean, if you've never seen that, I every once in a while will go onto YouTube and watch that again. Because it was just fantastic. So that was probably the best racing piece. There's been so many things that have happened with fans, just heartwarming stories about people, having loss in their life, but they used to come, to the track as a family or whatever, or as friends. And there's a ton of stories out there of people that they only see these other folks, their racing family, once or twice a year.
Yeah,
And then when they come together, it's like they've been talking the whole time. So there's a ton of those stories. It's staff stories, funny things that have happened over the years, and turning on the lights and racing here under the lights is always cool. I wish we could do more of it.
Yeah.
It's when you've been here as long as I have, it kind of does blend together. I kick myself. I will say this: my dad told me to keep a journal when I started working at Laguna. He said, you're going to meet a lot of different people. You're going to do a lot of different things. You should keep a journal.
yeah,
And I did not do that. And now that I'm 48 years old and I don't remember everything that I used to remember, I really wish I would have done that, because the things that have happened along the way, and the good and the bad. I mean, there's been business deals that have, that made me gray, but there's been good ones and there's been bad ones and there's been challenges, and, meeting people and being able to work with some of my heroes, and that's been hard at times, because I have to separate kind of church and state. I can't,
Right.
I'm not a fan, I'm have a job to do, but
Right.
when Mario Andretti pulls you aside at the Indy 500 and says, "Hey, anything you need from me, any help you need to get that race back over there," because he was always a big believer in running Indy cars here. So when we didn't have an Indy car, he wanted to do what he could to help.
Yeah.
So when you get someone like that, say, "Hey, Dave, come here," it's like, dude, that's
Whatever you need,
That's
Mario.
Mario Andretti.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's where you like, man, this is cool. So. It's hard. It's a hard question to answer.
Right.
It's just there's a lot.
yeah. The list goes on and on, right?
Yeah.
What is one of the coolest, whether it be here or elsewhere, what's one of the coolest things you've gotten a chance to do, whether that be just being in the industry or maybe because you're the president of the Speedways, different things. What would be one of the coolest things you've gotten a chance to do that maybe other people wouldn't get a chance to do? Or us lowly normal folk.
Right.
Normies.
Honestly, I mean, I already mentioned one of them. That thing with because my dad was always a big Bill Elliott fan,
Yeah.
and I was too. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, you know,
Right.
$1 million man. Love the race car, that old Coors car,
Yeah, buddy.
and the T-Bird, and so that karting experience with those two guys was awesome.
Nice.
That was and a lot of the from a racing perspective or driving perspective, when we've been able to come down here and do that, because we've done one with Rusty Wallace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm good friends with Eddie Lawson. You know, Eddie doesn't do it as often anymore since he moved, but you know, with him being a former world champion motorcycle racer, you can see why when he gets behind the wheel of a go-kart too.
I believe it.
And his work ethic, but just those type of experiences stick out to me because those are the things I had the most fun with. You know, but the list of being able to meet people is, I need to put it together one day. I mean, they don't remember. There's a few that I've become friends with, but for the most part, they don't remember who Dave Allen is. It's just the guy at the racetrack. You know, and again, going back to what I said in the beginning, I'm very well aware of, I sit in the corner office. You know, it's not, I've inherited what this place has built on its own, you know, and the staff that I have around me over the years you're only as, you guys know this, you're only as good as the people that are around you.
100%.
And almost everybody to a T is smarter than I am. So, you know, I realize that. And, you know, all those things that have happened and the things that we've been able to experience, we've experienced as a team. You know, I've just been lucky enough to remember some of them as one-on-one experiences that are important to me.
Right.
So
is there anything you'd like to do that you haven't done? Is there any kind of bucket list item in the industry that whether that be in your job or here at the track or elsewhere, like, before I'm not the president anymore, before I'm not, you know, here, or before whatever, I want to make sure I do that thing? Is there anything on that list?
Really, it's making sure that it's left better than it was when I was started. You know, I mean, you've heard that before, but you know, I mentioned it a little bit. You know, some of the things that we're trying to work on to help preserve racing here for a long time to come is obviously important. So I don't think I have a bucket list from a career standpoint. I feel pretty lucky on where I'm at, because I think I constantly feel like I'm growing. You know, just like you do in the seat of a car or a cart. I mean, there's always things to improve on.
Yeah.
And the industry changes so much. And you look at just technology. I mean, from where technology started, I mean, when I was doing sponsorship proposals and selling suites, everything was going through a fax machine. I mean, everything was, I would send out so many faxes. There's a lot of people listening to your show right now who have any idea what a fax machine is. You know, so just the technology piece and where we're going with that, you know, is amazing. And I don't have the bandwidth to keep up with it, that part of it, all of it, but there's people around that do, and it's pretty cool to see all the young talent that's coming in, not only on the racing side, but I think on the business side as well. There's a lot of young people coming in that are very enthusiastic and have a lot of great ideas. So it's important to keep an open mind when coming to things and not be stuck in your ways.
Yeah. And definitely the best way to move up into is to start at a junior college and to go work for Anheuser-Busch and then go get yourself an internship.
That is a ladder program.
That's exactly how you got to do it.
Yeah.
You laid down the path.
Yeah. Free beer is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Used to have a sales guy here that always wanted to hire a band for the infield called Free Beer, or, you know, or just have an event that has a band named Free Beer. He's like, you'd sell a ton of tickets. Free beer.
Be game over.
Yeah.
Auto Club 400 featuring free beer.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm here for my cup. So what do I got to do here?
There you go.
Dave Allen, thanks for coming out here and chatting with us. Take some time off. I'm sure you're getting swamped with meetings and other kinds of crap. But you did get a hide out here for an hour, so that was good.
Of course. No, I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully we didn't put too many people to sleep, you know, talking about my stuff. But
that's actually what this show's about. They put it right when they go right when they go to sleep. Yeah. No, this is it. Don't listen to it in your car. It's gonna be a bad idea.
Low volume next to your pillow. does the trick.
The sultry sounds of Derek Esquibel.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's why they're tuning in.
We'll have to do another one of these where I ask you guys all the questions.
Maybe we'll have you on when we have.
Seemed very one-sided here. I didn't get a chance to ask you guys.
Do you have any questions before I let you go? You got anything?
Well, what's on your bucket list?
Oh man,
We'll start with Derek. I mean, what do you want to do? What's the number one?
The bucket list as far as a driver is definitely try to do the 24 hours of VLK out in Charlotte.
Oh yeah,
the indoor race. I really want to go do a 24-hour race at that track. As far as a fan, I think I really want to go try to see the 24 hours of Daytona. I'd much rather see that than Le Mans. Personally,
really?
24 hours of Daytona looks way more interesting to me. And it's I'm gonna probably get shit on that one, but I'd much rather see that than Le Mans for sure.
Huh?
Yeah, as far as a spectator, but 24 hours of VLK to go drive, I think.
Is it have to be that one because everything you've heard about it, or it could be any 24-hour race?
No, that one.
Yeah,
that one for sure.
Yeah,
because it's the longest. It'll be the longest endurance race I've ever done, but two, it's an indoor track, so it'd be pushing myself a lot more, which I would like to try.
Yeah. Is it a longer indoor track or?
Yeah. VLK, Victory Lane Karting. It's in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Fred Ogram is the guy who owns and runs that deal. Hans Sonesson's the GM, but that's where actually I did the Jeff Gordon charity event race with Jeff years ago when it was just a smaller facility, but now they've expanded and it's got to be like 45 plus second, 50 per second lap time indoor.
Oh, wow.
They split it. They have two different tracks they put together.
That's cool.
It's pretty bitchin'. And they got their own little restaurant there and bowling alleys and all kinds of other crap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they haven't had the 24-hour race now for, I don't know, a long time. I ran like five to seven of them when they were running them regularly.
They don't do a yearly thing. It's when stuff works out, they try to make it happen.
Yeah.
So
I can't remember the last one they had.
But what about you? What's on your bucket list?
I don't know if I really have a bucket list item. I sure would like to do the Super Nats, and I'll get a chance to go do Rock Vegas. The 100cc. I won the Challenge Championship, so I got a ticket to do that. But I'd also like to do Super Nats, and the younger ego in me still would like to try to go for a national championship like I did in the indoor stuff. But the amount of money that takes, and then also I work here, so it's really hard to go do those things. But I guess if there was one thing that'd be cool to try to go for a national championship again.
Anything on the spectator side? I know you're not like it's funny, you're not a fan of much stuff, or you're not interested in going to do that kind of stuff, that thing really.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I like it. And I can appreciate it. I really like seeing it on TV though, because you can watch the race. Like honestly,
no, I'm with you.
If you want to watch, I
don't kind of go anywhere. Yeah.
No, that's because my laziness.
Yeah.
No, if you want to watch a race, like just the race, doing it, on a TV is way better. And I've said this before in previous podcasts, if you have the context of what that's like in person. Like for instance, I've been here to the Auto Club race a few times, and the memories will pop up on on Facebook. And Becky, my wife, we were on the terrace suites, and she got some video of the pit stops and the start. Part of the problem is I have to wear earplugs because I get really bad ear ringing like instantly. As soon as if they're idling, they're just chilling out on a pace lap, I'm all right. But that's about as loud as it can go before it starts to hurt, and I get a migraine like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
So I have to do the earplugs and then like cover my ears, or else it's a bad day. But just that feeling is pretty damn cool. You know what I haven't done though? Now that I'm thinking about it, I haven't been to a Top Fuel drag race, and I hear that's supposed to be just insane. Have you been to a drag race, Dave?
Yeah. It's drag racing's never been my thing.
It's my brother's. It's never been mine either, really.
But I've been on the start line.
Right.
And I've been at the end as well. And too close to I watched 2 runs and I'm like, okay, that's enough for me. But it'll make the hair on your arm stand up.
The speed's insane and the sound's insane. But I think it'll be the same thing if you ever get to see one. You see 2 passes and you're like, all right, I'm good. Yeah.
Probably.
I saw a few, and it was the coolest part for me actually was seeing them the team rebuild the motor after the run.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because they're just thrashing and they get that whole thing done. But you can appreciate the speed, but I need to see a little bit more racing than 10 seconds.
No,
whatever, you
yeah,
know?
10 seconds. 4
Whatever it
seconds.
is, yeah.
I'd tell you, that'd be, my dad worked on a sand drag car once.
Yeah.
And at the sand drags, it's like even shorter. It's like feet. It's not very long. It's really short. But there was a top, I think they called it a top fuel sand car. And it's going by idling. And you can just feel it hit your chest. Boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. That was crazy. So I assume, so if I was going to go do it, it'd be the Charlotte one with the four lanes.
Oh, yeah.
Vegas
four.
has it now,
I
too?
think Vegas has four now.
Oh, I think they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be,
That's shorter.
that would be
closer.
the thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you should do that. That's not that shouldn't be too hard.
That's not too hard to try to pull off. I would say one of the coolest things you talked about dirt racing. One of the coolest things I got a chance to do was back over in Charlotte. We were at the VLK race, so I got a chance to go see the dirt track at Lowe's.
Yeah.
And those sprint cars, those World of Outlaws, are so effing fast. It like TV. That is a scenario where like I talk about, I want to see it on TV. Not that dirt. Like World of Outlaws there, you got to see it in person to actually appreciate how fast a freaking sprint car is.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to Paris either. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I got to go do that too.
That
So
is
you saw
pretty cool.
you saw a winged sprint car
Winged
race, but you
sprints.
have not seen a non-wing sprint car.
I haven't seen non-wing. I used to watch, we were just talking about one of the recent podcasts, the Thursday Night Thunder,
Mhm.
and they had midgets and stuff like that on ESPN2 all the time. Yeah, that was really cool to watch too. It was always under the lights and sparks and shit like that. That was always really cool. But no, I have not seen. I've only seen the winged. I haven't seen not modified. Nothing else on the dirt.
I think, I mean, going from the drag race perspective, I like seeing the old cars run too, because I like hot rods and stuff too. But seeing some of the old cars run on the drags is cool. But when you talk about sprint cars, you got to see a non-wing too. I mean, Paris is just down the road.
Yeah,
It's not that hard to get you. It sounds like we need to do a field trip.
Right.
It's been a while. They actually raced Saturday night. This past Saturday night, and that reminds me, Dave Blaney, this past weekend won a World of Outlaw race again.
Get out of
Oh,
here.
man.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I sent him a text this morning. I hadn't seen it, and it came across the wire, and I'm like, no way. He'd run it at Sharon Speedway, and beat Jack Hoddenchild's son.
Oh wow!
So
How cool is that for Hodgechild's kid too?
Yeah.
I remember watching like as a kid watching Sammy Swindell and whatnot.
Yeah.
I watched it on TV all the time, and that guy. Has he retired or is
No,
he still
he's
racing?
still racing.
He's still freaking fast.
I think Dave's 58, something like that.
And still killing it.
Wow.
And he'll hopefully if I'm wrong he. Sorry, Dave.
If you're wrong, hopefully on the young side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that, I mean, yeah, he whooped up on him, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, you gotta get out to
I'll tell you what,
or Chili Bowl. I took my dad to Chili Bowl.
Yeah.
That's a unique.
That looks
Awesome.
It
crazy.
sounds like it.
event.
Yeah.
You get back to Tulsa in the wintertime, but it can be a little chilly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been to that a few times, and like I said, I took my dad, and being an old midget racer himself, I mean, it was he liked it a lot. So
Well, if I end up
Nice.
going to Paris for a dirt race, I gotta get a hold of you.
yeah,
Show me
definitely,
the ropes.
definitely. Yeah, I'll go out there with you.
Yeah.
I don't need much of an excuse to go out.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, man.
Yeah,
thank
It's
you.
awesome to share this time with you and kind of get in your background. And I said it before, I'll say it again. We got to get you back out in the seat and rub some elbows with you. In fact, I'm not sure what you're doing later on this week, but we should probably make it happen here.
Yeah,
Stat.
yeah, it's kind of quiet out there right now. Let's go. I'm here. So,
Rock and roll.
all right.
Thanks,
Thank
buddy.
you, man.